Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have the one and only Mr. Ryan Pereus. Now, Ryan and I connected on LinkedIn. He has some really good insights. He runs an organization where he helps teams when it comes towards, just alleviating some of those cold outreach practices. And whether you're an individual contributor or you're working at an organization, you're looking for a great team to help make cold calls for you, Ryan and his team got it. And this is why I thought it made so much sense of the conversation, because he is deep. He is steep in the cold calling world, and it's working for him and for his clients. And I want to figure out what's working for them. Why is it working? And why is it not working? And he's going to give us some ideas and some things that they have adopted and things that you can adopt. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
I'm excited to have you and to break down this, go into this conversation. I bragged about you a little bit in a teaser there, but I'd love for you to take a minute or so, jump on stage and tell us a little bit more about what Ryan does, man. What's in your world, Ryan?
Yeah, so I've been in the sales development space for about 7 years. I'm the CEO founder of Superhuman Prospecting. And we have solely focused on cold calling in the B2B marketplace with USA-based team members. And so it's my passion, a bit of a talent, and I know the world still needs it. So we kind of combined those forces and made a company about 7 years ago. Yeah, based out of Philadelphia and have team members across the US. We manage about 80 to 100 campaigns a month.
As a sales professional, we know talking on the phone, cold calling is a part of our jam. It's a part of our DNA. But Ryan, I'm getting a lot of pushbacks from folks, and you've probably seen it as well, where the phasing out of cold calling, maybe it's not necessarily as effective. There are other means, blah, blah, blah. Cold calling is dying. They've been saying this for eons. What sayest thou?
It's a great question, because it's some of it's true, right? Some of it is dead in some areas, but it's not dead.
What is dead in per se? And then we can go on what's not. My bad. You just got me on that part.
For sure. I would say it's like efficacy to produce the desired result, or get an ROI. Yeah. And I think the challenge, just like any channel, is that, you can have high saturation of cold calling. You can have a product or service that used to be kind of a unique, rare, or innovative product with low saturation and was effective at one point. And then once competition and things changed within the market, cold calling changed. Yeah. And so calling the same list and doing the same thing, expecting a different result, was no longer working. But I think it's more of a pervasive issue amongst all channels, and, things have just shifted. And so I think you just have to adapt and realize that sometimes cold calling isn't just about, the market saturation or the fact it doesn't work. It's maybe about the fact that the product or service is no longer as relevant as it used to be as it relates to cold calling.
And I think that's a fascinating part to it. What do you guys see working when it comes to cold call?
There's certainly other channels that folks are drawn to, whether it's, SEO or, using ChatGPT even for their channel, whether it's, getting back into trade shows now that COVID's over. I think that depending on the type of product or service and the market, they might favor certain channels more than others. And so I think just saying that last thing is that as market has expanded with the rise of digital, of course, everything's kind of been fragmented. So everything's kind of working, just all in tandem rather than just one or two channels.
What could a go-to-market campaign look like for you guys?
We look at cold call success from kind of 4 primary elements, and you need them all to balance out so that they're all working together. So think of like 4 elements to create a fire, or 4 pillars of a building to hold it up. So one of those is product relevance. The other is target market, how relevant your product is to the service or to the market, how accurate your target is, the strength of your messaging, and how well your SDRs are fitting into executing the rest of those 3. So we look at that for our clients and say, hey, which one of these do you have strengths in? Which ones are doing well? And which ones do you need to sharpen so that all 4 are working together to give you the optimal results? I think there's a couple different things we mean when we say relevance.
Sure.
There's messaging that feels relevant to them, whether it's sometimes like a trend that's going out, this happening in the world, and you reel it into your product or service. And there's also just like relevance of timing, but there's also just like that innate product or service relevance. So for instance, we have a client that has a extremely unique and rare product right now, and it ends up being also very relevant to the university and college market. So he has a digital escape room adventure app for orientation teams at colleges and universities. And so we're calling directors of orientation and things that, he's got Stanford as one of his clients that's using the app and things. It's kind of like a Pokemon Go for learning a campus. And so we're setting 100 meetings a month through cold calling for him.
How can I still enable or discover if something is going to be relevant or not for someone, or the best way that you guys go about doing that right now?
I've been trying to crack the last couple of years and figure out how to explain this, because sometimes you just don't have a new invention. You don't have an iPhone. It doesn't mean that your business can't exist and be thriving. What it really means is you have to do a little bit more work to draw out some additional features and benefits that might be different from your competitors, maybe some accolades or social proof that you can compare to give you that credibility instantly, or even sometimes some kind of hook that can pull to them, whether it's sitting down and for a meeting and offering something for their time, or some promotional type of offer. We see that kind of like a pyramid, and at the bottom of the pyramid you have kind of basic commodities. So say traditional marketing services or digital marketing at this point, IT companies, commercial insurance, basic commodities, right? But if you have something that is some kind of additional feature that you can add on, some type of benefit that is extremely tangible, or some kind of accolade or social proof, you can raise yourself up in that kind of hierarchy. If we think of that digital escape room at the top, right? You can move yourself up, and it makes it more relevant to the market through those other things that you've worked hard to add on to your message. I was reading something just today on LinkedIn about, I think Coda August, if you follow him, had mentioned something about those who are in the kind of commercial roofing space. And they said, cold call, it can work. You might trickle in some appointments here and there, but wait until there is, if you really want to make a big push, wait until there's some kind of major rainstorm or hailstorm, and then send out emails and letters to property managers of buildings to let them know about your service right around those times when there might be a need. If there's roofs getting damaged or whatnot, that's the time to reach out and watch out for those triggers. That's a little bit weather, dependent, but at the same time, it, something to be focused on that can help increase those conversions.
When it comes towards connect rate, what's a good connect rate nowadays post-COVID?
That is a huge topic on LinkedIn right now amongst a lot of thought leaders, because I think there has been some drop in some industries with connect rates to the decision makers we want to speak to. And I think there's a couple different ways to kind of combat that. And one of them you see is a lot of verified phone data with people who are likely going to pick up the phone. There are providers out there who have the capacity to kind of make these pre-calls to determine whether or not people are going to be picking up the phone, they're that type of person, and then creating a list in your market with just those people.
That's crazy.
We've seen that work before. In fact, we used it for this client I'm speaking of, and one market in particular was really hard to get to, and I think we had a 5 or 6% connection rate. And with the verified phone data, while it did minimize the number of contacts we could reach out to, I think our connect rate was more like 14% or 15%. And I think that's low for verified phone data. I think you can see it higher than that. Now, the one negative to that is I think you just have to watch out for spam calls. If you're showing up as a spam number on their caller ID, you can hurt your marketplace by doing so. If there's a pickup and then a hang up, and you see that number, you might be less likely to pick up the phone in the future. But I do think there's another way to go about it that's a bit more traditional that we do and have success with, which is, we use as many numbers as possible for one contact. I think it's a great time to be in sales right now with all of the data providers that are available that are providing more and more quality data as time goes on. So you have a combination of mobile, direct, and office. And we see our rates increase when we have all three per contact. And then lastly, this is one that no one really wants to talk about, which is when you have a trained professional making these calls and they're talking to secretaries and gatekeepers, you actually can see an increase in conversion by the scripting that you have in talking to these secretaries or gatekeepers to try and get that right person, or reveal the fact that they might actually be a stakeholder that you can speak with. It's almost an uncovered stone in the entire sales market, because we talk so much about good data and we talk about getting to the decision maker, but sometimes there's stages in between that can make significant increases in conversion. And we see it on our team. Some of our team members have an average of a 3 or 4% connect rate. And I'll just say, they don't last that long if they have something like that, because you can only have so many conversations, and unless they're converting half of those, right? Or a third of those conversations, it's tough to hit the number. But if you are able to get, between a 5 and 10%, we see an increase in appointments from those folks because they get more at bats.
Amazing.
So
5 or 10% get that conversion rate, and your life's good.
I think so. I think it depends on the market you're calling. Selling into, if you're an IT company selling to Fortune 100 like Google or Apple, might be different than if you're a cannabis company reaching out to like dispensaries. Might have different connect rates. We've actually offered a new service. It's called Quick Calls. You can go check it out. QuickColdCalls.com. It's kind of in our beta phase, and it's what we consider, or what we've seen as the lowest entry level cold calling rates on the marketplace, with USA based team members and a manual sales dialer. We're going to be launching it later this year into next year, and it's $695 to get started with cold calling.
Not too shabby.
We've made it just for AEs. So if you're an AE that needs cold calls and either don't have time to do it or it would help you grow, you can add it on, jump on, jump off very quickly. So something we're excited about.
Thanks, Ryan.
Awesome. Thank you.